Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Pat Hilton and Zach Hoffman going live all over the planet. We are live on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and sending everything to Facebook. And we are live on Facebook as well now for Marketing Monday. Zach Hoffman, how you feeling today, buddy?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Dude, awesome. Had a great weekend. Couple Blues wins. They tied up the series against Winnipeg at home. Long battle ahead, as you know, being a sports fan. But it's just great for the city, great for the culture, and it's just fun to be a part of.
For sure. I mean, playoff sports, there's nothing like it.
Dude, it's awesome.
How's your song popping in St. Louis?
It's popping. We're at almost 10,000 views. We've been on ESPN radio, and like I said, the Blues tied it up. So as they continue to gain momentum, I'm sure that the song will fuel the fire. St. Louis being such a big heart city, people are very loyal, a ton of hometown support. So it's really cool. It's an easy way for me to give back to the community that helped me get here. So it's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, definitely ready to get rolling here on a Monday.
Let's rock and roll. I know you got the topics loaded up, so let's hit them.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple items we were talking about, just added the call. So the proliferation of virtual influencers is starting to happen. So AI driven, but augmented personalities. We had Google come in with rockstar quarterly earnings, and then on top of that, Google is basically found guilty of monopoly. So they're essentially getting forced to disband some of their parts. One of that being Google Chrome. So that's been a big topic as well. So,
So monopoly, can you explain for people who might not understand why they're being accused of that? What are the components that came together to say these guys are too big? How do they even assess that?
Well, I don't work at the federal government, so I don't necessarily have the right answer for that.
Right.
But essentially, they became so great at what they do and drove a lot of traffic to Google search, and essentially then started, pushing people into their own products, and continue to do so. They control the devices in some regard that people access the internet through, and a lot of that defaults to Chrome and the Google browser. But at the same time, the reality is a lot of people love to search Google, and it's hard for them to essentially break that habit. Even GPT came out and said their partnership with Bing is kind of falling apart because the search results that they're getting from Bing aren't what they wanted. So essentially, they're going to be starting to go a little bit more toward the Google engine. They're also trying to create their own search engine, but they're finding that that's a profuse effort, especially with all this information essentially already indexed. So it's going to be interesting to see, how things evolve and how, Google and GPT might evolve here in the near future.
And so when we were talking before, you even said maybe even a potential acquisition of the Chrome browser could be a possibility. Or, I mean, if I'm Google, I don't want that to happen.
Well, we'll get to that topic. I mean, there's a lot of reasons like it might be in Google's favor. But to start out, definitely on YouTube, they're seeing, if you look at the 2024 data, there was over 1 billion views in the US for essentially augmented reality personalities. So they're not even real people. They're basically, virtual hosts.
So like AI generated avatars.
Essentially, sharing information, sharing details. A lot of that content is being produced, and a lot of that content is being consumed and watched by American consumers as well as global consumers. They racked up over 15 billion views globally, and essentially 1 billion views in the U.S. And that was a sample set that I saw online of essentially 300, virtual avatars.
Only 300?
Well, what also got me interested in that is
that's a lot of views.
That's a lot of views. And then one of the things that really interested me was I was listening to the podcast where the podcast creator essentially gave the introduction, and he said, "Now I'm going to let AI take it from here." And it was all in his voice. So it was basically AI reading a script on his behalf. It sounded on point. It was an AI podcast, so it was spot on in that regard, but it was also very well done. So, definitely the future is continuing to evolve here as, AI is proliferating.
Well,
into every.
and I mean, that's amazing. I was on ChatGPT yesterday. I gave ChatGPT a whole bunch of different ways that they could help me create a free book for people to start doing vertical videos, with podcasting or however they need to do it. And literally, it wrote like a whole 13 chapter book it just ran for like 38 minutes. I came back to the computer. There was a book. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
it took me like 2 years to release my personal book on Amazon, and it took me 40 minutes to write a free ebook on ChatGPT. The world is changing.
Well, you have to read through it. Essentially, I did that with something recently. I would say the work was pretty good. It saved a lot of research and initial details, but you still have to go and like fine
Fine
tune it,
tune it.
all the research, and really get it to the next level.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, not necessarily where it's not necessarily, I think, like to a publishing level to,
No, but I mean, for
I'm
it
sure
to
there are
get
some actors out there
to get
publishing
that
it, right?
close, I mean, I'm shocked still at the power of these tools. I've never seen anything like it. As a producer, I'm like, whoa, it's
Oh,
awesome.
to even speak to that, I mean, the Oscars just reprogrammed their rules to allow for AI generated content and altered information to be part of the shows. So, or to be part of movies and be awarded as a result, because that was controversial going into the last Oscars. And I believe it was, yeah, definitely on the Oscars. And I think the Golden Globes, there are just some movies that utilized AI to enhance voices and just other aspects of the movie. But now they're saying that AI can be used to create artistry. So, in using AI to capture, how you communicate your art, your skills, your talent, that's what they're really looking for. They're not necessarily looking for, blood, sweat, and tears to make a production. They're utilizing, if technology is available, then why not allow them to utilize it to help create more effective art?
100%, man. I mean, 100%. There's a AI app called Suno, and it can like write songs.
That's awesome.
Like I typed something into Suno, like I had an idea for a tune, and it wrote this other. So it wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I was like, wow, that's pretty good. So
At the end of the day, it took a shot, and that's the beauty of what you're seeing with AI is like as it's evolving, it continues to take shots at creating content, creating information, and in the process, it continues to learn. The, interesting thing about AI that they're saying is it's getting so much smarter so quicker. It's basically doubling its accuracy rate in a period of about 7 months right now. And they're saying that the accuracy rate and how much better it gets at things is just rapidly increasing. So you're just going to see incremental climbs with AI as it continues to evolve.
that's awesome, dude. I love it, and I love that we're weighing into that because as marketers, anyone who has a business, by the way, you are a marketer. And
Yeah.
so anything that you're doing to try and drive client acquisition or drive results for your clients is based on how are we marketing? How are we in sync with each other? How are we creating alignment? And if AI can lead you in the right direction, like you said, it doesn't need to be word for word. You're going to have to fine tune it. But if it can help guide you and light the way and help you, become more powerful with your execution, then my goodness, use it.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a big time collapser and definitely allows you to get to the next level a lot quicker in a lot of regards from communicating information that you might be looking to communicate, as well as if you build up the AI knowledge base in the source that you're trying to get answers from, it definitely assists in future, answers that you might be looking for.
Oh yeah, this ChatGPT like talks to me and my personality. It's kind of funny.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, it is a little scary. I'm like, hey, I say that.
That's funny.
What else we
Trying
got?
to use like your words,
Well,
how you say things.
like even the way it responds. Like I asked it something this morning, and it was like, "So here's the deal," and I was like, "Oh, like you know what I mean?" I don't know if it would talk like that to my dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, that helps me. So here's the deal. You can do this one thing or this too, because I'm like, how can I help people get motivated on a Monday morning without being too aggressive? Not everybody is crazy aggressive like Pat. Some people like the low key, stuff. And it's like, well, you can do this and that and the other thing. You can do this, that, and the other thing. Here's the deal. Well, and I was like, whoa, this thing It's communicating with me in my energy. Like I can hear my tonality and the way that it responds, which helps me digest the information and helps me get something out of the response. So the
Oh,
machine is incredibly intelligent with its communication style.
oh, and it's only climbing from here. So it's
But yeah, you're right. It gets to know your tonality and your and your wordplay and everything. It's very interesting.
For sure. So as we move forward, Google fighting that, monopoly trial and basically being found guilty, they reported $90 billion in earnings over the first 3 months of the year, driven by, yeah, right, driven by search, YouTube, and AI. So they're
Search,
continuing.
YouTube, and AI. I wonder what percentage that AI is and what it's going to grow to over the next 3 years.
Oh, I mean, they're probably hybriding it. I know they're hybriding some of that into like the search market share that they're seeing. They're also providing a lot of like the inventory, like the server space to program AI and build it up. But yeah, it's an integral part of every conversation that they're having. We recently sunk, information from some of our databases on Google with GPT to give GPT a better knowledge base of how we operate. I think it's going to be groundbreaking for initiatives that we drive forward. But the integrations that you're continuing to see with AI, and if you're actually encouraging it, utilizing it, you're starting to see a lot more efficiencies being created. And a lot of organizations are investing heavily in not necessarily like the what if or if AI is going to impact things. They are utilizing AI firsthand to really, make things more efficient and essentially, I'd say augment, people that they might have needed in the past.
Dude, that's awesome. And I mean, even like AI responses and AI agents, big, huge conversation for especially like social media companies like myself. We want to make sure we're getting automated responses. We've got a bunch of that stuff we're going to talk to you about this week with, you know, just helping people understand that they can comment a keyword, get sent to a website, fill out a form, all these types of things that used to be so difficult that you had to spend so much money on. Now Instagram's got their own system and it's just built into Instagram that they're starting to let people beta test, which is awesome because obviously we get access to that as blue checkmark creators. So I'm excited about that this week.
Well, even something just like outside of just, I would say like autonomy within like some of these software plays. When you look at self-driving cars, so Google owns Waymo, and they reported that there were 25,000 rides per a week being utilized via Waymo. So they're talking about, and Tesla's having the same conversation about potentially putting cars at like at people's homes or like at their disposal in a lot of ways, basically on a per ride basis, or I think they're trying to figure out the model. But it's very interesting because I would say a lot of global economies, a lot of countries in general were kind of like formed off of the manufacturing of automobiles. Even if you look at how some of the largest countries right now are augmented when it comes to cars and production of cars, but then you're seeing essentially cars lasting longer. And now you're starting to see these driverless cars. You're going to have a whole generation that might not have any interest in driving cars. They might just want to get into a car and be taken places.
Right.
So you're going to continue to see that evolve. And it's a huge segment of the market and the economy. I mean, look, Uber's had a huge impact on the usage of taxi cabs. We all know that.
Yep.
But now when you start to talk about Waymo and the ability for driverless cars to be taking, more market share in various markets, that's a whole nother level of, essentially utilizing AI to augment, people in society.
Dude, I have a friend, Tim Lyons, good friend of mine. He's a fitness coach, helps people build their gyms. He's done an incredible job with his gym. And so he helps
Mhm.
people and all of this kind of stuff. And he was at some event and just took some driverless car. And I was like, dude, this is so crazy to even see people that I know. And it's always the business owners and the entrepreneurs that really want to test and document and stuff. And he was like, I didn't have to talk to a driver or deal with anything. I just hopped into the Waymo and it took me where I needed to go. And I was so shocked that that's where we're at, that it's like, wow, When are we going to have the cars that like the wheels go under and they start to fly like Back to the Future 2? Remember that?
I don't think that's far away either. I think that's definitely being created in some lab somewhere.
I mean, it's got
Uh,
to be. It has to
yeah.
be.
Sure. It's a whole nother evolution. Yeah, and then to move forward with, Google and this whole discussion about Chrome. So they're saying they're gonna have to divest Chrome, which is essentially like the key, the root, the browser.
Right.
So GPT has raised their so the government asked like who would be interested in taking over Chrome, and of course numerous parties, but one of which is GPT, essentially asking or requesting the ability to take over Chrome. And if GPT were to essentially acquire the entry point of a lot of users onto the internet and the web, I think that's going to be huge as to where we see AI just, from an adoption perspective, just really take off. Now, when you look at it from a Google perspective and where they might benefit from that, Google probably would still control the ad network, right? So now Google would be able to take their ad network, bring it over to GPT, capture all of those searches, and then they would be working that much more closely together. So GPT is definitely ends up being the suitor and the winner of Chrome. I think it's going to just make it even Google a little bit stronger. So I know they're offering their hand. I don't know if it's going to be accepted, but it's definitely an interesting topic or something to think about. Whereas if, GPT took over all those commands or that entry point onto the web, what we would see left of the internet from that step forward.
Wow. I mean, if ChatGPT acquires Google Chrome, when you told me that before we got on the call, I was like, whoa, that would be
Yeah.
crazy. I'm going to tell you, I already use ChatGPT as a search a lot more than I ever have because it's the way it gives me information. It's not a browser listing, so it doesn't list information as a browser. But I will say that the AI, like Google AI or Chrome, Chrome has like an AI answering thing too that kind of lists things similarly to ChatGPT when you search, but it's not the same. GPT and it might be because the thing knows me, but the way it gives me bullet points, the way it does this versus this, the way it does breakdowns, like this morning, I'm crazy. I'm pumped up this morning. I'm in weightlifting mode. How do I control that with my posts today? And it's like, well, here's the deal. Boom, 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 boom. The way it breaks it down, in my opinion, is changing the game. I'm consuming it more.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's definitely going to become a bigger and bigger part of everybody's lives. And it's going to be, yeah, definitely, if you continue to craft it and utilize it, you're just training the system more and more. So it's just going to get better and more efficient at what it's doing. What's interesting, though, is like Apple's AI is a little bit behind. They have been promising the public that their new iPhones would be really AI centric and be able to, fill a lot of gaps and a lot of things that they're marketing and advertising, but they found they've kind of fallen short on that promise. So AI at Apple is undergoing a major shuffle as they try to meet, what consumers are looking for when it comes down to AI and, the promise it can bring.
Yeah, the Apple Intelligence is what it's called, right?
Yeah,
I,
for
I
sure.
really I haven't seen much from that. It's like Meta AI almost seems way better when I use Facebook or I use Instagram. I get a lot of insight from Meta AI. Like I said, the Google has a little AI system. When I search for something on Google, there's an AI result that comes up first. It's similar to GPT, but I haven't seen much from the Apple, and I use my iPhone all day. I have not seen them integrate very well.
Yeah, they've self-admitted that they need to basically rework that aspect of everything that they're doing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But when it comes to AI and adopting it to like a small to medium-sized business or just corporate businesses, even in general, we're starting to have a lot more conversations. We've been having conversations about it for the past couple of years. But it really comes down to, when it comes to AI, are you asking the right questions? Are you
Right.
asking the right questions as to what it can accomplish and do? Because we've seen, a lot of players out there come up with specific use cases, but the use cases typically are falling short from the expectations of professionals out there. Whereas more freeform AI or AI that, allows for it to shine bright with its intelligence and its ability to give you input and opinions, that's the AI that's been winning, and that's the AI that's really, essentially going to be driving a lot of businesses to be more efficient, not necessarily, filling into a box yet. when it comes to AI tasks or, what it can do.
Right. Dude, that's just, this is just all so cool. And I think that one of the things about all of this is that people originally thought that, hey, this is going to take my job, or this is going to replace me, or this. That is a horrible mindset. These are tools that can enhance your execution, make you a more valuable employee. We had some talks just before we got on about how we're going to continue to improve everything that is the output of this. And it's easier for us to install now with our templates already built because of AI systems. We can move at a way faster pace. So don't think that AI is coming for your gig. Think about how you can utilize AI to make your gig so much more important to the company that you serve or to the clients that you serve. You got to switch that mindset around. And I think that you and I as marketers, we want to bring that out of people. This is a great way for people to find the words or find the bullet points that they need to, like we said, execute faster and more efficiently for their clients or just in their day-to-day tasks.
Oh, for sure. And another thing that we're seeing is, when you're looking at creating AI or you're looking at bringing AI into your organization, you need to be making sure that you're asking the right stakeholders, right? And usually the best stakeholder to champion AI is the executive team and the people that are managing, the organization as a whole, because they can oversee where essentially they have a lot of people doing specific tasks. And those are tasks that can typically be augmented by AI or essentially be taken to the next level. So it's really critical that the right stakeholders are brought into that conversation and that you're not necessarily asking somebody that's routinely doing a task like, can AI do it better or more efficiently? Because essentially sometimes, people see AI as a threat versus how they can essentially engage it and embrace it to help them get their skill set to the next level.
Exactly. And again, I remember when the internet first started to come out and I was on the browsers. I was on Netscape Navigator and AOL Messenger and Yahoo Messenger. And I remember people were like, oh, this is just a fad. And I remember how funny as a user I thought that was, because I was like, dude, anyone who's publishing that this internet thing is a fad, this is so in the early stages. We're going to be able to communicate with anybody on the planet. And I was already kind of doing that. That was back in the creeper days when like chat rooms were still a thing. But now we can create our own chat room virtually. And it's like we got our own CNN studio in the palm of our hands. This is something you cannot ignore as a business owner and especially as a marketer or a corporation now. It's how do we use these tools to be more efficient and to serve our customers and clients better?
Correct. I mean, we're seeing it from like long scope document analysis, data analysis. It's essentially time shaving hours, if not days, off of those tasks and routines. And that's huge for the consumer.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Will
I'm
speed up
pumped.
a lot of things. And, as we come out here, I think AI is going to reinvent a lot of industries and verticals, as we're, even hitting this, like, I would even say we're in a slow period, but essentially we're in an evolutionary period where I think a lot of organizations and companies are starting to like fine tune their systems and processes that they might have utilized, humans for before. And they're augmenting to a lot of tools and AI to really, carry them forward.
Absolutely. And it's just like we discussed. I mean, we still have to do the work with the production and we like to add that one-on-one touch with our clients because we are media. We want to get that physical, personal, authentic voice from our customers and from our clients. It's very important, as you know, but also we want to make sure we've got templates in place so that when that customer wants something to be a certain way, we can execute faster than ever and make those adjustments in seconds.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And that's exciting for us because it used to take forever to make certain adjustments. Now it doesn't. It's great. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, definitely. Well, definitely on that note, man, it's Monday.
It is Monday. Kick in the music. Ladies and gentlemen, get out there, market yourself, do what you need to do to get loud. And Zach, give the folks something that they can do this week as marketers with their website, with their social media, with AI tools to stand out. What's something that you're going to do this week to stand out?
if you're not utilizing, GPT or AI at this point, definitely give it some tests. At least have it open in your browser and run a task through it and see the answers that you get.
Yeah, it's super important to just get on there and start talking to these systems and learning how they communicate, even recording work meetings or something like that, having it break down your work meetings into bullet points using either GPT or Fireflies or Otter. There's so many free tools to use to record meetings and get notes and improve your output. So ladies and gentlemen, get out there and do it. Be great, and we will see you on the next one.